Shalom. I'm Rabbi Michael Panitz. I'm the Rabbi of Temple Israel of Norfolk, Virginia, speaking to you from the pulpit of our synagogue. At this time, my subject is, where is holiness? Among the default assumptions that we bring to the Bible is one about chronological order in the presentation of the text. We think that material earlier in the text refers to the memory of an earlier event. But the rabbis remind us that this is not always so. The Bible does not always present its material in chronological order. When it departs from simple chronological narrative, we rightly want to know what other principle of organization produced the text as we have it. Such is the case with the first large section of the book of Numbers, the first 9.5 chapters of the book. These chapters deal with the basics of the life of the Israelites during their sojourn in the wilderness of Sinai. We are told about the arrangement of their camp, symmetrically arrayed around the Holy Tabernacle, with the Levites and the Kohanim, which means priests, encamped closer to the tabernacle, and the 12 tribes in an outer square surrounding them. When we look more closely at the material, we see that it naturally divides into two blocks of text. The two blocks share a common ordering of material. Chapters 1 through 6 give information about the people in their tribal subdivisions. Then it teaches about the Levites. Finally, it provides a series of specific laws. Chapters 7 through 10 repeat that pattern of presentation. But the material in chapter 1 is dated to the first day of the second month of the second year of the wilderness sojourn, whereas the material in chapter 7 is dated to, quote, when Moses finished setting up the tabernacle, which is dated to 1 month earlier, the first day of the first month, as we know from Exodus chapter 40. I want to suggest a message to be gleaned from this non-chronological presentation. The focus of the first 6 chapters is the community. The material starting with chapter 7 has as its focus the tabernacle. I mentioned earlier that the book of Exodus had ended with an account of the completion of the tabernacle. In a sense, all of Leviticus was then an extended excursus about God speaking to Moses from the tabernacle, transmitting the laws of holiness. Numbers chapter 7, with the tribal chieftains dedicating the tabernacle, picks up the thread of the chronological narrative. Therefore, I view the first 6 chapters, which are out of chronological order, as we have seen, as an insert designed to teach a lesson. The tabernacle was in the center of the camp, not outside it. The concept of holiness in Judaism, because the tabernacle was holy space, the concept exists in the context of a community in covenant with God. The tabernacle exists as a channel for the people Israel in its relationship to God. This message cuts against another understanding of holiness that is popular in Western society. One of the influential ideas in our culture is that the sacred is the opposite of the secular. In that conception, holiness is threatened by the compromises of the commonplace. The saint avoids the temptations of ordinary human nature. That is not Judaism. Our cultural ideal is the tzaddik, the righteous person, and not the saint. The righteous man or woman lives within society. Their walk with God is not a retreat from human interaction, but an elevation of it. The Talmud teaches this lesson in a striking way. One of the famous rabbis of the formative era of rabbinic Judaism, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, was said to have fled to a cave to avoid a Roman death warrant. When he emerged, he was enraged to see the Jewish people going about their ordinary business rather than studying Torah all day long. The Talmud relates that whatever place Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai gazed at burst into flames. At that point, a heavenly voice rebuked him and sentenced him to return to his cave for a 12-month of penitence. Notice that the cave was not his spiritual destination, but a place of punishment. His ultimate reintegration into society was the goal. When he finally returned, it was as a healer of the common people, not as their scourge. The book of Numbers conveys this message by the description of the camp in its opening chapters. The tabernacle is not a pilgrimage destination far removed from human habitation. It is in the very center of the encampment. True, the Levites and the Kohanim were physically closer to it than the 12 tribes to prevent trespass, but if the tabernacle was an extraordinary place, it was nonetheless located in the middle of the camp so that it would never be out of mind. And so it is with our ideals. They are not meant to be too ethereal for us to live by. God's teachings did not stay in heaven. God gave them to us in our finite human nature to help us live meaningful lives and be the best version of ourselves. God does not want us to be angels. God wants us to be good people. Is that not a worthy goal? Shalom.